Well, hey, Tammy, thanks for taking time to connect. You have an exciting story that I want to hear about. We're going to go into it in detail, but I'll just start by saying this. One of the big challenges being faced in the church in Canada is a challenge. There's leadership challenges, there's secularism, there's decrease in engagement and attendance amongst the next generation. But one challenge is actually a challenge of space and facility. Land prices going up, zoning changing, and you have found yourself with a building for your church, and I want to talk all about it. But before we jump in, why don't you just give us like the quick, how old is your church? When did you guys plant? Where are you guys at in your journey? And then we'll go into this story.
Yeah, so Groundswell, we launched Groundswell almost 3 years ago now.
Wow.
So we're a pretty young church plant. We launched a second location right before COVID hit. So we're very young. We've been online like so many other people, just like you guys, for this whole pandemic season. Because of rentals and facilities, it was really, really tricky and hard, like a lot of church planters were facing. And then suddenly we found ourselves with this incredible opportunity to be gifted a free building.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
And it's been gifted. Okay, now give people context for the region you're in. You're in Nova Scotia. Is this building in Truro? I know that one of your locations in Truro, Nova Scotia. Where is this building that you guys are going to be part of?
So this building is one of the older buildings in Truro. It's right in the heart of downtown, right across from the Civic Square where every event happens, across from the farmers market. Like, you couldn't get a more prominent location in Truro than this particular building.
Amazing. And are you denominationally affiliated? Because I know the building's from First Baptist. Are you denominationally affiliated with Groundswell?
Yes, we are. Yep. So we are. Here's a really neat part of the story. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but
go for it.
Groundswell is actually a granddaughter of First Baptist Church.
Wow.
So a church came out of First Baptist Church, and then Groundswell came out of that church, and so we're literally a granddaughter. So it's like they gave us an inheritance in a lot of ways. So it's very cool.
Oh, it's amazing. Let's rewind a little bit. So, talked about how you guys started working together, because before this was even about a building at all, this was actually just about kingdom partnership in the city. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so way back in the fall, actually even before that, there were a few overarching conversations about the possibility that maybe First wasn't going to be able to continue. But through the pandemic, because they found themselves centrally located right in the middle, right in the heart of town, they identified very quickly that there were a number of people in the community who had no home to go to during the day. So they would have stayed in the library or public buildings, but as those public buildings got closed down, they had nowhere to go. And so First started opening up their doors during the day, allowing those people to have a warm, safe space to be in. And that led into providing meals. And so at that point in time, we came alongside of First and we're like, we want to help. And so we had a team of people who went there once a week and prepped all of the meals for the week. To just really help them out. So we just started partnering together in that way before we even got to a place where they said, you know what, we don't think we're going to be able to continue. So we're either going to have to sell this building or maybe we could give it to you, which is when I said, I don't want a building. I don't want your building, which is kind of a crazy part of the story.
Yeah, why? And why was that at the time?
I guess, for us, we loved portable. We loved the ability to kind of go into other places in our town and support them. We love, the environment that portable creates, how it creates opportunities for volunteers that sometimes don't find a place to volunteer when you have a physical location.
Right. Yeah.
And so it wasn't in our game plan. We knew down the road we need a building, but it just really wasn't in our game plan at the time. So we were very, very hesitant to even enter into that conversation. So we said, you know what? How about we come alongside and we actually partner with you financially too for a while. We'll help you try to figure out how maybe we could, make this sustainable. You're doing a great ministry here in the town. We want to support you and help you. So our team partnered up with their team, our leadership, and we just started to talk about what all the possibilities could be in order to try to help them stay open.
I love that heart, Tammy. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes there's like an abbreviated version of stories like this where like a young church plant wants something from an old church. And like, that's not a recipe. Like if it's a one side, that's not a recipe for the kingdom and mutual submission and preferring one another. It's not a recipe for a good partnership. What I hear you saying is, hey, like you're open-handed and you're really trying to go, hey, the kingdom fabric of this city matters. And so what this church is doing and is up to matters. And, you know, if they're struggling, the church is struggling. And I just love
Absolutely.
that heart. And where did that heart for you like develop? Because that's like a real kingdom perspective. Sometimes we get really siloed into just what we're doing. But yeah, where does that come from for you?
You know what? I honestly, Jason, I don't totally know. It's just always been the way that I've been wired. And maybe it's because like I don't come from a church background. So like I came to faith later in my life, and and during that time I toured around with a worship band, and we went into all these different denominations, all these different places very early on in my Christian walk. I got to see like all these amazing ministries that other people were doing. And I just think God gave me that opportunity to grow an appreciation for the kingdom and the work of the kingdom and all the different varieties of work that happen all over the place. And so, I don't know, it's just part of our DNA.
And so what is the path ahead here? Like, have you been given the keys? Is that coming ahead? Are you doing some work on it? Like, what's the road ahead?
Yeah, so at the end of April, First Baptist gave us the keys to the building. Another really cool part of this story is, it's a historical part of this story, is this church was a church plant originally. And then they had this building in town, and it was too small for all of the people that they were having come to be part of their congregation and the people that they wanted to reach. And so they actually tore down their sanctuary in the 1950s and rebuilt a sanctuary that was bigger. And at that time, actually someone who is part of our team, they found this historical book about First Baptist in a used bookstore. And so she picked it up and she brought it to me. And in that book, there was the sermon from the pastor that last Sunday in that old sanctuary before they tore it down. And one of his dreams that he articulated in this sermon was that they could pass this on to their children and their grandchildren, and that they would have the same like heart to reach more people. And it's just such a cool part of the story. So I was able to do a message at First Baptist before they gave us the keys, and kind of share that with everybody again, this kind of vision. And so they gave us the keys in April. We have been in teardown mode, total reconstruction of the first floor to kind of reshape it. We're keeping a lot of the old and adding some of the new to have this kind of great juxtaposition.
Cool.
And we're getting to the point now where we're in rebuild. We're done with the teardown. We're into the rebuild mode, and we're hoping to have our doors open in September. So,
did you do a class in Bible college on managing construction, or like where do you go?
Yes, isn't that whatever? I do think
I
that
didn't go to Bible
point,
college myself, so I don't know if that's what you learned. Did you go to Bible college?
Yes, I did, but they didn't teach me that. But I do think I could maybe be a bit of a general contractor at this point. I don't know. I've learned a lot of things.
Anything else you want to share about it? Because it's such a cool story.
I just want to encourage people, look around your town, see that the churches that are there, see what they're doing, see how you can come alongside and help them and support them. We are all part of the same team, and it's important for us to remember that. A kingdom win is a kingdom win for all of us. And so I just want to encourage people to partner, care, look and see how you can come alongside of someone else in your town and be a support and an encouragement to them, and watch what God will do with that, because we are definitely seeing that now.
I love it. Tammy, you're such an encouragement. I'm sure we'll get to chat a lot more soon. I love what God's doing through your life. I get the feeling that his hand of favor is on you and on Groundswell. And it just fills me with a ton of joy. You know, being on the other side of Canada, it really blesses my heart knowing that God has put church leaders and new movements that are growing across our nation and historic movements, and that he's on the move. I know that we've talked a lot, and there's a lot of loss in the church during COVID. There's been a lot of struggle. I do believe God is always faithful. Like any seed scattered, if any seed falls to the ground, that he can use that to plant new life. And there's a kingdom principle. So we don't despair as the church in Canada right now. Even as things feel like death, we are literally in the business of death leading to new life. And
Absolutely.
this story captures that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love it.